my virtual machine is running, and I'm going to try to explain something. Okay, I'm going to hit the keystroke for showing the deployment configuration menu. For me, it's Shift-Control-A. And I'm going to open the configuration. In this video, I'm going to talk about the configuration called Sandbox Interpreter. The reason I added this is when I was trying to make the functionality which I talked about in the previous video, when I was trying to make it work, PhpStorm kept telling me that I had no interpreter configured. So somehow I ended up configuring the interpreter even though I didn't really need it for what I was doing up here. Okay, so what's this configuration for? What it's for is, okay, let me move this to the side. You see this right here where it says remote host? Okay. All right, it won't let me open it. Okay. Anyways, if this window here was not open, actually, okay, let me just show you. See, let me click right here on remote host. I am able to browse the files and directories on the server. And when I say the server, I'm talking about on the virtual host. So the reason I'm able to browse them is because I created this. Because I created this right here, this connection configuration, this deployment configuration, okay? Now, this deployment configuration is going to also, besides allowing me to browse the remote server's file system, it's also going to enable PhpStorm to run, I think it's, okay, here, let me close this again. You see here where we have the run menu? That's for running the scripts line by line and being able to debug them and see errors. Okay, so having created this configuration here in deployment, right here, that also enables me to use that functionality because it's running my script using the command line interpreter for PHP, which is on the server, and the server is on my virtual machine. Okay? So that's the purpose for this connection. Now, about the details for this connection. Under the connection tab, I chose visible only for this project, and the important part here is the type. It's SFTP. That's the type that uses SSH. Okay? And this is the type of configuration which has to be set up in order for me to set up a command line interpreter. Okay? Besides the type, there's also, okay, here it's labeled upload, download project files. And over here it says project files are deployed to a remote host via SFTP. Remember, this is about deployment, so everything is in the context of being able to deploy files. Just like over here, we had the type in place, project files are already on locally installed server. Here, project files are deployed to a remote host via SFTP, which is SSH and FTP. Okay, although I'm actually not using that method to deploy because I have a shared folder on my iMac which shares its files and folders with the virtual machines, which is the server. Okay, so I don't need to transfer anything with FTP. However, when PhpStorm accesses these files, it is going to use SSH and maybe FTP also. Okay, so that's how PhpStorm is going to access those files, and that's the type of connection configuration that this is. Okay, and remember, it allows us to open and browse and manipulate the folders on the remote host. Okay, so the host name is Sandbox, and that's the actual name that's used in my iMac's local host, I think the hosts file, and also in my SSH configuration, I call the host Sandbox. So here we use the word Sandbox. And the port number is 2222 because that's how commands on my iMac, that's the port number that they use to communicate with SSH on the server, on the virtual machine. Okay, now for root path, okay, I just said the root of the server, and username, okay, when it SSHs into the machine, the user is Sam, and I also supplied a password and told it to save the password. Although it is using SSH, and it really shouldn't need a password, so maybe it doesn't need it. But I think while I was setting this up, I realized it did need it. Okay. But then there's advanced options here. Okay. Browse files on the server, and this is the URL we supplied for that. Although maybe we should have the path to the web root, but it worked so far. Anyways, let's take a look at this. Okay. All right, so because I set the root of the server, so it's showing all the files all the way from the root of the server. And this is not the root of the web server. This is, Apache. This is the actual root of the Unix Ubuntu server. Okay, now I could, change that. And let's see what happens there. Okay, let me make it no framework. All right. Spelled it wrong. Framework. No framework. All right. So now if I go like this and then I open it, Sandbox, no such file. All right. Let me modify it a bit here. Okay. Let me put a /. Let's see if that helps. Nope, that didn't work. Oh, I know. I need the real path. All right, let me go in here and get the real path. Sandbox. I'll SSH. Project. Okay, so this is the actual path. Okay. Let me copy it. All right, and we paste it right here. All right, now let's try it. Yep. Okay, so this makes it go directly to the project on Ubuntu, on the virtual machine. Okay, there's Git, idea. All right, everything there. So that's a better configuration. Okay, I think I covered this subject pretty good right now. So I will conclude this video. All right, bye.